Ben, a word you use very carefully. With all the research that you did for this article, one of the things was to say, I can tell whether Vladimir Putin is a dictator by how he spends his day, how much control he has, who else makes decisions, or whether it's only him. And in all of this research, you found out some fascinating things. So you write about Vladimir Putin's day. He wakes up late. He eats breakfast around noon, swims for a couple hours, goes to the gym, finally starts reading in the mid-afternoon. This is a pretty interesting description, because people might hear this and say, well, this is a lazy guy who kind of lets other people do things for him. But is that the case?
Well, Putin rules in the way that leaders did before the internet. Putin doesn't use the internet. When Putin first came into the great offices of state around the millennium, Tony Blair didn't have an email account to communicate with his staff in London, and neither did US presidents. You know, Putin's the last of the analog and non-digital rulers still in power. So that's all frozen there. And Putin, he knows that Obama spends the evening like scanning the news, reading some of the tweets. He knows that David Cameron is obsessed about what's on your channel or what's on the BBC. And he thinks these guys are very much mistaken. He thinks that the job of the ruler of the Russian Federation is to make strategic choice. He doesn't care what people are tweeting. He doesn't care what people are Facebooking. He wants to make a decision in his own head, alone. And a lot of this thinking takes place in the pool.
In the pool. And when I read your reporting that he wakes up late and eats breakfast around noon, some people might say, well, does that mean he's a big drinker? But the answer to that is, I think, pretty definitive.
People often ask me, like, how similar is the reign of Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin of Vladimir Putin to that of Stalin? Stalin also woke up late. Stalin also would shuttle miserably between the Kremlin and his dacha outside Moscow. But Stalin had drunken dinner parties. Stalin would make all of his furry animals that ruled with him drink so much they would often soil themselves. He'd make them stand up on the tables and dance Jewish songs or Muslim songs to humiliate them if they were from those religions. But Putin, drinking late into the night, no. Putin's not a drinker. Putin's not a political leader bringing into the Kremlin a whole series of girls because that's what he likes. He's not a very sexual person in that way. So
what does he spend the night doing? I mean, you write, there are no stories of extravagance, only of loneliness. You mentioned the lack of a family life, that he's divorced, that the daughters don't live in Russia. What does he do at night? I mean, you talk about the rumors, right? There's a rumor out there that he has a love child with a Russian gymnast.
There are rumours you hear about photographers or gymnasts or women that kind of come to him at night. There's some kind of hollow talk to these stories. There's something that doesn't quite sound right about them. Putin works at night. Putin receives people at night. He works late. He thinks best late at night, and other people just have to get used to that.